Hi everyone, this is Chris at Lehigh River Berry Farm. Just wanted to, doing some thinking, and I figured I'd do a little bit of blurb about bird netting. A lot of people ask us questions about what we should be doing for netting, how to install it, does it work? So in these rows here, you can see we've just got a piece of 4x4 with a 2x4 on the top that's about 2 feet wide. This netting is 5 meters wide, and we just run in with 2 wires. We use to keep the posts from rotting off, and it's difficult to see it here, but we just use a super spike, and you can kind of see it in there. It was the cheapest solution that I could find. So I thought about T-bar, but just didn't work. But you can see we're starting to have a problem containing some of these Haskap plants. These posts are roughly 5 feet tall. They really need to be 6 feet tall. And some of the plants are just getting way too big for this setup. Just in case you're curious, this is just a new planting of Aurora, and we just use some landscape weed barrier for preventing the weed creep from coming in. So we'll remove this this fabric this fall, and then we'll mulch that row. But to fix our problem, I decided to try a new umbrella. I think they call it a bird netting umbrella hoop. And I picked these up from a company in Quebec called Dubois Agnovation. And apparently they come from Spain, but I'm not 100% certain on that one. So typically they're set up like just a big hoop. You run 3 wires, one on the top, one in through each eye, and you can buy the little plastic cap, and it goes right on top of the 4x4, or you can buy the purpose-built steel pole for them. So these posts, we put them to 6 feet. These are berry blues, and you can see they're getting big, and this creates a nice tent effect around them. The only thing we found was that you can't put a lot of tension on this wire because it'll bend these. This one's just rotated up a little bit, but you can see the plants are filling out nicely, and we're not putting a lot of pressure on the plant growth itself. So we're letting the plants grow easily, and they should produce pretty good. What we do for the bottom part, this is a 6.5 meter wide netting. We found this width of netting was much easier to install than the 5 meter. So what we do on the bottom is we just use sod staples. And let's see if I can find one here. The weed growth will come up after a while, and keeps everything nice and tight. But what we found is a lot of birds will pull at the netting, and then they'll crawl underneath. So this is just a sod staple. We get them from the same place in Quebec, buy 1,000 in a box at a time. So what we do here is we place a pin every 10 feet, and then we go back over it and we pull the netting tight between the 2 pins, and that one is just showing where the net was pulled tight, and that makes a tight row along the edge, and this will keep the birds out. I haven't had to take a single bird out of this row. Now this morning, if you look over here, and it's a bit harder to see, I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. The netting is not installed correctly, and this morning I had to remove 2 birds from that row. But we're very close to harvesting this one, and that row we will harvest probably over the next couple days, so I'm not too worried about it. The birds pretty much stay out of the orchard during the daytime. It's just in the mornings when we have to do something about them, come back and see what's going on and remove them if they're around. So another thing, people ask me how do we mulch and how do we use compost. So to make life easier and to save a lot of shoveling, we have a Mill Creek row mulcher is what they're called. Great little unit. It's running. This one's running on off of a 33 horsepower Kubota. That's the smallest hydraulic flow of a tractor that you can possibly use for this machine. But it works fine. I mean, it's lower hydraulic flow. It just won't shoot the wood shavings out far enough or the compost out far enough. And it's a nice rig. You can go either side with it. There's a little lever there. It's not overly expensive. I got this one used. I think I paid $10,000 for it. I checked around a lot, and I think Mill Creek's listed retail price is around 13 or 14,000 US dollars for this same model. Of course, I'm in Canada, so my price was Canadian, but you also have to factor in freight. So I got it for 10,000, freight included. But it's a great rig. It's nice and narrow. It's no wider than my orchard tractor. The only thing is, it's nice to have a bigger tractor to load it. That way you don't have to disconnect, load it, and then go again. It'll hold roughly, I think it's 3 yards. We get our wood shavings by the truckload. Big tandem truck comes in, we get about 50 yards in a pile. And our compost is underneath that silage tarp. And we buy that in bulk as well. So we got 45 yards of leaf compost this spring, and it's great stuff. It really makes these Haskap plants take off. So I think that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to make a comment or even drop me an email. Thanks.